In the previous episode, when we discussed the closing entries, we were able to identify another type of trial balance. Aside from the unadjusted and the adjusted trial balance, meron pa pala nung tinatawag na post-closing trial balance. Now, doon kasi sa post-closing trial balance, ang makikita na lang natin is anong klaseng account. Diba pinag-usapan din kasi natin yung tatlong classification of accounts, that prior to the adjusting entries, meron kang mixed accounts, you have your temporary accounts, and you have your permanent accounts. But after you adjust the items that needs to be adjusted, yung mixed accounts, yung portion na kailangang i-transfer sa temporary na pupunta sa income statement, and yung unused portion o kaya naman yung asset or liability portion na iiwan doon sa ating balance sheet. Kaya, sa madaling salita, after your adjusting entries, meron ka na lang real accounts or your permanent accounts and then your nominal or temporary accounts. But after we do the closing entries, lahat ng makikita ninyo ay pawang permanent accounts na lang. Kaya pagdating sa post-closing trial balance, ang makikita mo na lang dyan ay yung balance sheet accounts, your assets, your liabilities, and your equity accounts. Now, on the adjusting entries episodes, actually, kapag nakagawa ka na kasi ng adjusted trial balance, pwede ka nang makapag-prepare, diba, ng income statement and your balance sheet. Kaya nga meron tayo nung 10 columnar workpad. Okay? However, kapag ipipresent na natin into a report, i-convert na natin yung trial balance mo, yung nandoon sa columnar, into a formal report of income statement and balance sheet accounts. Pagdating sa balance sheet, kailangan nating i-categorize ng mabuti ang inyong mga assets and liabilities. And this is where our topic for today will come in, because we will be talking about the classification of assets and liabilities. Now, I want you to follow me on the projection, on the presentation that I have here. Because going back to the accounting equation where we have your assets equals liabilities and equity, yung assets and liabilities mo, pwede nating ma-classify into in current portion and non-current portion. Now, please take note that we are only talking of assets and liabilities. Wala na ditong classification ng current at non-current yung equity section. So, tanging assets and liabilities lang. O, pag-usapan natin kung ano yung criteria para masabi natin na current yung isang asset. O, remember, when we defined asset in the first episodes, asset is what? This is an economic resource controlled by the entity as a result of past events and from which future economic benefit is expected to flow to the entity or to the company. So ngayon, meron tayong 4 na criteria para natin ma-identify na yung mga economic resources na kinokontrol ng company ay matatawag natin na current. Okay. Now, let's go first doon sa first criteria. Ang sinasabi nitong criteria na ito, that current assets can be, or that assets can be current kung ito ay cash or cash equivalent unless restricted. Okay? Now, hindi muna tayo magdidwell into the technical details, but so as to emphasize itong criteria na ito, cash or cash equivalent, okay? Pag sinabi nating cash, ito yung ating money. Ito yung mga kaperahan mo. Okay? Sa Tagalog, pera. In short, that is your money. And kapag money yung pinag-uusapan natin, maaring yung pera na yun ay hawak-hawak mo, nasa wallet mo, in the form of bills or coins, o kaya naman, money na nasa bangko. Yung tinatawag natin na cash in bank. Or meron pa tayong mga tinatawag ng mga cash funds, okay? Pero pag-usapan natin ito pagdating sa financial accounting. Now, meron ding term na tinatawag na cash equivalents. Sa ngayon, define lang natin doon sa kung paano ito dinidefine ng libro. Pag sinabi kasi na cash equivalent, tandaan ninyo that these are short-term, highly liquid investments acquired 3 months before maturity. So, ito ay mga highly liquid investments na madali lang siyang i-convert into cash because these are acquired 3 months before maturity. So, meron tayong parang threshold na dapat hindi siya lalagpas ng 3 months. Pero, ito daw ay mga short-term, highly liquid investments. Yun yung tinatawag natin na cash equivalents. So, meron na akong nilagay dito na note that detailed discussion will be on a separate episode pag pinag-usapan na natin yung mga specific accounts na yan. So, that is your first definition. Unless daw, it is restricted. Pag sinabi natin na restricted, hindi mo siya pwedeng gamitin. Meron kang pera, pero nakaset aside ito for a specific funding or for a specific purpose. Okay? Restricted siya. Halimbawa, meron kang pera sa bangko pero nakaset aside ito for, let's say, pagtatayo mo ng bahay. Okay? Meron kang ininvest na lupa. Okay? In the near future, let's say mga 3 years from now, nakaset aside yun para magpatayo ng bahay. So, restricted yung pera na yun. So, hindi siya current. Okay, so ito lang yung current assets, cash or cash equivalent, na hindi dapat restricted. Now, proceed tayo sa pangalawang criteria. Ang second criteria is that these assets are held primarily for the purpose of trading. O di ba nang dinefine natin, nung classify natin yung forms of business organization, kung matatandaan ninyo yung merchandising, okay? Mga trading, no? We are into buy and sell, buying and selling. So dito, ma-associate natin sa definition na ito, sa criteria na ito, yung mga inventaryo, yung mga inventories. Kasi bumibili tayo ng mga inventories para ibenta ito. So this is the second qualification. Kaya, kapag familiar na kayo sa inventories at alam mo yung nature nito, we classify them as current assets. So that is your second criteria. Now, the third criteria is this one. The asset is expected to be realized within 12 months after the reporting period. Now, yung reporting period na tinutukoy natin dito, remember, meron tayong calendar year, meron tayo nung fiscal year. Okay? And ito yung kumbaga katapusan ng business calendar ng isang company. At kung ikaw ay calendar year, kasi ito yung most common na ginagamit ng mga companies, at the end of December 31, yun yung reporting period mo. Kaya pag nagpe-prepare ng mga financial statements, that is for the year ended December 31 kapag calendar year. Now, kapag current asset siya, dapat daw yung asset na yun ma-realized. Okay? Realized within 12 months after. So, kung December 31, dapat hanggang December 31 ng susunod na taon because that is 12 months after the reporting period. Okay? Another one, yung pang-apat na qualification, kung hindi ma-realize within 12 months, it should be realized within the entity's normal operating cycle. Kung hindi bago sa'yo yung operating cycle, by now, you should be able to determine what is this. Pero for the sake of those na hindi alam kung anong ibig sabihin ng operating cycle, pag sinabi natin na operating cycle, pansinin mo itong aking graphics, itong infographics ko, at sa loob may definition, ang operating cycle daw ay yung period between the time that you acquired your raw materials. This is the period of time between the acquisition of materials and their final conversion into cash. So, syempre, ikaw ay nagbebenta, kunwari ng mga inventories. Pag binili mo yon, maglalabas ka ng pera. Now, para maibalik sa iyo ang iyong puhunan plus yung kita mo, kailangan mag-undergo yan ng process. So, yung time na gumastos ka, naglabas ka ng pera, hanggang sa makolekta mo yung pera na yon, okay, doon sa mga consumers mo, sa mga buyers mo, ito yung tinatawag natin na operating cycle. So, maliwanag po. Kung nalilito ka, kung may question ka about sa operating cycle, please comment down below para masagot natin yan. Okay, now proceed tayo. Ang current assets, kinakategorize or magpo-fall siya as current assets kung mafo-follow niya itong apat na criteria. Kung swak siya dito sa apat na ito. Otherwise, kung wala siya dyan, wala siya sa number 1, hindi siya pasok sa number 2, hindi siya pasok sa number 3, at sa number 4, we call them non-current assets. So, yung definition daw ng non-current assets ay basically residual in nature. Kung wala doon sa apat na yon, yan, non-current asset na siya. Okay? And in terms of your presentation of your current assets sa iyong financial statement, current assets are usually listed in the order of liquidity. Pag sinabi nating liquidity, liquidity refers to how quickly an asset can be converted into cash. So, gaano mo kabilis ma-convert yung asset na yon into cash pag kinakailangan na i-convert mo siya into cash. Kaya sa presentation natin ng ating balance sheet, nangunguna dyan yung cash and cash equivalent, followed by your accounts receivables at kung ano pa mang mga receivables yan. And then you have your inventories, you have your prepaid expenses, so on and so forth. Kasi, halimbawa, compare ko lang yung accounts receivables versus yung inventories. Yung accounts receivables, for collections na yan sa mga customers mo. So, pera na yan na naghihintay na lang na makolekta. Samantalang yung inventories, para ma-convert mo yan into cash, kailangan mo pa siyang ibenta. So, mas matagal siya ma-convert into cash kung kailangan mong i-convert ito into cash. So, yun yung concept ng liquidity. Gaano mo kabilis mako-convert yung asset na yun into cash. So, yung mas mabilis, mas nasa unahan siya. Kaya ganoon yung ating presentation. Okay? Now, ito yung mga common examples natin ng mga current assets. Actually, nabanggit ko na halos lahat except dito sa financial assets at fair value. Nasabi ko kanina, cash and cash equivalents. You have your trade and other receivables. You have your inventories. You have your prepaid expenses. Idagdag lang natin itong financial assets at fair value. Meron tayong asterisk dito, At ang ibig nitong sabihin, itong mga financial assets at fair value ay mga trading securities and other investments and quoted equity instruments. Now, don't worry. Wag muna tayong magdudwell dito sa technicalities nitong mga terminologies. Pag-uusapan naman ito in the financial accounting. So, sa ngayon, at least meron kayong idea kapag na-encounter ninyo ito in the future, okay, parang familiar ako dito. Mukhang current assets ito. Now, ito naman yung common examples ng ating mga non-current assets. You have your property, plant, and equipment. You have your long-term investments. Meron kang intangible assets. At iba pang mga non-current assets. So, ito yung ating mga common examples. At may encounter ninyo yan as we go along sa ating accounting episodes. Okay? Now, how about naman sa current liabilities? Sa current liabilities, halos mirror image ito ng definition ng current assets except may konting twist. Kung makikita ninyo, inumpisahan ko doon sa number 4. Kasi, ang isa sa mga criteria para mag-qualify ang isang liability as current is that the liability is expected to be settled within the entity's normal operating cycle. So, parehas lang, di ba, yung definition. Except na doon sa asset, ang sabi doon, the entity is expected to realize the asset. Okay, realize yung term. Dito naman, settled. Kasi balikan lang natin yung definition ng liability. Ito naman ay mga present obligations ng company. No? Kung saan, syempre arising from past events. At kung saan, ine-expect ng company na yon na merong outflow of economic resources para sa company when we settle the obligation. So, meron kang obligasyon, may pananagutan ka na isettle ito. Either bayaran ito in the form of cash or kailangan mong mag-provide ng mga services. Okay? So, that's one qualification para masabi natin na current liabilities. O syempre, yung number 3 doon sa kabila, it is expected to be dati sa asset to be realized. Ngayon naman, kaya ko in-emphasize, pinalaki ko, it should be settled within 12 months after the reporting period. The third item, sorry kung 4-3-2-1 tayo, no? It is held primarily for the purpose of trading. So, kung yung liability na yon arises because of your trading business, I mean, because of your normal operations, it should be qualified as current liabilities. Now, ang distinction natin dito sa current assets versus current liability determination is that pagdating sa liabilities, the entity, yung company, does not have, walang unconditional right to defer settlement for at least 12 months after the reporting period. Anong ibig naman sabihin nito? Yung company daw, wala siyang kakayanan na i-delay yung pagsisettle ng kanyang obligation after for at least 12 months. So kung halimbawa, meron siyang utang sa supplier, current liability siya kung magka-qualify siya, kung mababayaran mo siya within 12 months after the reporting period. Sakaling example, December 31 ito. Pero dumating yung due date, so let's say babayaran ito ng June 30, dapat kailangan na itong isettle ng company. Wala dapat siyang kakayanan, wala siyang kapangyarihan, wala siyang kapasidad na i-delay yung payment for another 12 months. Kasi kapag meron yun, o hindi na siya pasok dito sa current liabilities, yun po ang ibig sabihin ng does not have an unconditional right. Now, kung medyo nalilito ka dito sa isang criteria na ito, you may comment down below para masagot ko kayo at mas maipaliwanag ko ito ng mabuti. So, yan yung ating 4 na qualifications para mag-fall siya sa current liability. Just like your current assets, ang non-current definition sa liability is also residual in nature. Kung wala dun sa 4 na yon, yan ay non-current. Okay? Ito ang ating mga common examples. And as a minimum, ito dapat daw yung makikita mo sa inyong face of the statement of financial position or your balance sheet. You have your trade and other payables. You have your current provisions. Meron kang short-term borrowings, o current portion of long-term debt, and current tax liability. Pagdating naman sa mga non-current liabilities, ito yung common examples. The non-current portion of long-term debt, finance lease liability, deferred tax liability. You have your long-term obligations to entity officers and long-term deferred revenue. O remember, meron tayong deferred revenue, no? Kung maisisettle mo yun within 12 months or within the normal operating cycle, we classify it as current liability. Pero pag long-term yan, pang matagalan, more than 1 year, or more than the entity's normal operating cycle, this is a non-current liability. So, mahalaga na kailangan nating i-classify yan. Kasi when we are presenting your balance sheet, pinaghihiwalay natin assets into current and non-current. Pagdating naman sa liabilities, current and non-current. Ipapakita ko yung example na ito sa susunod na episode. Pero sa ngayon, hanggang dito muna tayo sa classification ng assets and liabilities and giving you some examples para ma-familiarize kayo doon sa mga terms na ginagamit natin at gagamitin ninyo ng mga accounts in the near future. So maraming salamat sa panunood ng episode na ito. I'll see you around sa susunod na episode. Bye-bye!